Hey everybody, Mark here with Uberhints.com. It's Saturday morning and I just came off another week of travel and I thought I would just have a sit down. We haven't had one of these in a while where we just kind of sit down and chat and catch up and see what's going on. And yesterday was a really tough day. I have been suffering with a pretty bad cold this week. Some of you may have picked up on that in the last couple of videos I've done, as well as our podcast that we did this week with the Entrepreneur and your driver Mike and Drive Girl Drive Cecily. That was really a lot of fun. I'll talk about that a little later, but this cold is just lingering. And so Thursday night, I went to bed really early. I mean, I hit the hay at like 8 o'clock. So, of course, after about 7 hours sleep, I woke up. It's 3 in the morning. And what do you do when you wake up at 3 in the morning? You look at the clock, you try to go back to bed, you toss and turn. You look at the clock another 12 minutes later. Finally, I woke up maybe 4:30, and I started my day. And the day ended with a lot of travel, and I was in Pennsylvania. So when you saw me make the last video, that video was the one about women getting paid less than men on the Uber platform. And when you saw me make that video, I was in Pennsylvania. I was kind of in the, I guess the Allentown, Bethlehem area. And my flight was going to take me back to Wisconsin through Detroit and into Milwaukee. Well, we have just been having terrible, terrible snowstorms. It just seems to never stop. It's not like the 2 feet of snow. It's like 8 inches and then another 3, then another 5, then another 8 inches. And when I got back to my car at the airport in Milwaukee, it was just covered with about a foot of snow that I had to work through. But anyway, I replanned my flight. I didn't want to go through Detroit because Detroit was just a mess. And thank goodness I did, because my flight ended up being delayed. The one I was supposed to be on was delayed about 5.5 hours. I probably would not have made my connection. And I would probably be sitting in a floor somewhere in Detroit airport right now trying to catch some Z's. But anyway, I rerouted through Atlanta. So bear in mind, I woke up about 3 in the morning. I got home. My flight came in about 11:30, 11:40. So by the time I got to the airport, got home, it was pushing about 1 o'clock. Then I had all the snow I had to deal with. And I'm sure my neighbors were really pleased with me because I couldn't even get into my driveway or my garage because the snowplow had plowed in the entry to my driveway. So I got my snowblower out and I probably spent another hour. By the time I got to bed, I was probably awake maybe 23 hours. I was just beat. And that's not a good thing to do to your body when you're sick in the first place, right? So if you're hearing it, my voice, that's what it's all about. And you might also remember that a couple of videos ago when I was talking about Uber getting into the bike rental market, I was driving up from Tennessee. So what's all this travel about, and how do I keep active on the Uber platform? Well, it's just one of these things. I'm just one of those people that's always going. I'm always really, really active. And when I drive for Uber, like today, I'm not feeling well. I don't really want to deal with people being in my car and talking to people. So what I'll probably do is go out and do some Uber Eats. Because as you know, I've been pretty successful. I'm able to make quite a bit of money with Uber Eats. It's not unusual on the low end for me to pull in about $20 an hour to anywhere from $35 to $40 an hour with Uber Eats by the time you factor in tipping. So I'm pretty successful with that. So I think that might be what I go out and do today and tomorrow. And then Monday I'm back on the road and I'm driving up to Canada. So that ought to be interesting. I hope the weather isn't too bad during the drive. So the way I balance this is when I'm home, I'm not always going at 110% like that. When I do get home, I'm home for a week or more at a time. And that's when I do a lot of my Uber driving and on weekends. But when I'm traveling, as you know, I do a lot of other types of videos. I'll do your, the videos about the news that's going on and Uber getting to the bike rental and inequity in pay, apparently. and those types of videos. But a lot of you don't know I have a second channel. And that second channel is where I do videos, and I reflect on a lot of the travels that I do. And some of the things you'll see, I think they're kind of fun. I think they're kind of neat. I put a few of them here on this channel. And I guess people just really weren't interested because they didn't have anything specifically to do with Uber. Now, occasionally I will mix the two. For example, when I was up in Calgary, and I took some rides with some Uber drivers, and I talked to them, and I reflect a little bit on the differences in driving in Canada as opposed to the US. So sometimes I do mix the two. But most of the time what I do is I'll just do videos about the areas I'm in. For example, one of the fun ones I just did in a recent trip when I was coming up through Tennessee, well, I started way down in Florida. So I did some things on Walt Disney World, and then I came up through a couple of small towns in Georgia. And I don't know if any of you are Walking Dead fans, but I visited the towns where they do a lot of the filming. I visited the town that plays Alexandria, and I visited the town that was Woodbury, where the governor lived, and then I visited a few lesser known sites. Sometimes I just like to track down areas where things are being filmed. I do that quite a bit when I'm in LA. I'll usually go on themes. So, one time a trip might take me, I'll visit a lot of the Back to the Future filming sites. And another time I visited all the Modern Family homes and different sites. It's just something I do. It gets me out and about and visiting different areas. But it's not just about filming of movies and television shows. For example, when I was in Kansas City, I spent the week visiting a lot of different barbecue restaurants and kind of rated the barbecue scene in Kansas City. When I was in Kingston, Ontario, that was really a lot of fun. I visited some prisons and some prison museums and different things in Kingston. When I was in Halifax, they have a really nice waterfront in Halifax and a boardwalk. And so I kind of spent a few days doing that. So that's what I do. And if you're wondering, well, what do you do between your Uber videos? There's a lot of videos going on over there at the other channel. It's called the Average Me channel. And I'd encourage you to visit it. In fact, you can all do me a favor, even if you're not interested in that stuff. A lot of people aren't finding it simply because, the way that the algorithm works with YouTube, it's sort of like that catch-22. The more people watch, the higher it turns up in the searches and the more they find you. And of course, the more they find you, the more they watch, the higher. So it spirals up, but until people get a foothold. So, go over there, watch a few, and subscribe. Even if you don't go back, it'd probably help me be found in the searches. But, the funny thing is, it's not why I do it. The real reason I do it is I, at one point, was doing a journal. And I was keeping a journal about where I go and places I eat. So when I revisit cities, I could go back or see different things, remind myself, oh yeah, that was a good restaurant. But I got lazy, and I just stopped filling out that journal. So I thought, well, another nice way to do this would just be whenever I'm going somewhere, I have a camera, I have my phone. So I thought I can record these things. When I went to the Citadel, or when I went to the St. Louis Arch, or the Seattle Space Needle, I think they call it. I started recording those things and putting them up on the other channel. And that's how this whole thing started. I actually did that before I was doing the Uber videos. So my life is really a lot about doing travel and doing Uber and doing I got my hands in a lot of things. And, then I chronicle a lot of it on these channels. And this week like I said, I've just been sick. Maybe you can hear it in my voice. And I wasn't real ambitious to get out. And I thought, well, what can I do to kind of kickstart and jumpstart? I said, I know, I'll make a video. I'll talk to my friends. And, that sometimes encourages me. And it makes me say, come on, Mark, if you're doing an Uber video, you better darn well get out and start driving for Uber. So that's usually what happens if I'm feeling a little sluggish. I don't want to get to it. You have to. You really have to, because having a set pattern and a schedule is imperative to success. So I know I have to get out there. I know I have to drive. Like I said, I'm not really, with this cold, I'm not up to driving people, so I'm going to drive Eats this afternoon. Will I video it? Will I chronicle it? I don't know. Sometimes I don't think I'm going to, and I end up doing it anyways. Interesting things happen, so I end up making a video about it. But there's a lot of snow out there, a lot of cold out there. It might be a really good day for driving, because on days like this, it's a weekend. You know, people are done with their hard week, and they look outside, and unless they're into, you know, the snow sports, snowboarding and skiing and sledding and all of that. Unless they're into that, people might want to just huddle up at home in front of a fireplace with a hot chocolate and call in for their lunch or for their dinner. And so maybe we'll find that there's a good amount of change to be made this weekend. But I really don't want to push myself too hard. I'd like to try to get better. I'd like to try to improve my health. I've got 2 more days, and Monday morning, like I said, I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to journey all the way up. So I'm pretty much traveling all around Lake Michigan. I'm going to be heading up through the Upper Peninsula. I'll be doing a border crossing at Sault Ste. Marie. Then I'll be heading over the top of Lake Huron. And that's where my next journey is going to take me. I don't know if there's anything there. It's a very desolate area, very desolate country where I'm going to be heading. Not a lot of big cities. So I don't know what I'll encounter, but sometimes just the neatest stuff. I usually don't put it here. I put that on the other channel because it has nothing to do with Uber. So I just wanted to stop in for a visit. I know that this doesn't have a lot to do with anything other than getting to know one another a little better. So I don't know, you tell me, do you like these videos? Is this a waste of your time? Is this just 12 minutes you'll never get back? Leave your comments down below. You know I love to hear from you. Please go over to the other channel, to the Average Me channel. I'd love to get your feedback on that too. And I'd kind of like to kickstart that channel if I could. And as always, I love it when you share these videos. I love it when you give the thumbs up, the like to these videos, and especially when you subscribe. I'm Mark with Ub-erX.com.